Actually, I think I might know why. No, I don't. I don't know why they're doing that. But
Good afternoon, and welcome to Through My Lens,
yeah,
young developer from West Las Vegas in the great state of Nevada, Kyle Henry,
yes, sir.
and we are talking about doing some development in the community that we are both from and very familiar with. So Kyle, why don't you start out by telling our audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Let's see. Well, not born and raised, but I grew up in Las Vegas. And studied music all throughout my childhood and into high school, actually into college. After college, I moved to Los Angeles, to move for college, I moved to Los Angeles. Stayed out there for a decade, was an entrepreneur, worked with the VR industry and the entertainment industry and also financial services and eventually real estate. And then 2020 came along, and a lot of my clients dropped off because marketing is typically the first thing to go. But I already kind of had my real estate experience, so I decided to dive into the world. So in 2021, I started working with a lot of hedge funds and family offices and figuring out ways to basically get properties for them. But my focus has always been on the West Side. This is a place that I spent a lot of time in as a child, around Doolittle, and of course church and all that. And the things that I did that I loved in a city like Chicago and Los Angeles is like there are these really strong and vibrant Black communities. But in Vegas, it seems like we've all dispersed. So my goal has been to bring us all back to the West Side and create bring that excitement and that love for the community back.
Do you think at this date and time that there's quote unquote any money in the community?
No, not much money in the community at all right now. I know there's a lot of projects planned, but it seems like things have always been planned.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's not a lot of money in the community. I know they've been, cut off for several years. They cut off the main Martin Luther King Boulevard so that people were not even going to the West Side besides to go to church.
Right.
So at least things are open now, and the city seems to be interested in, improving the region. But so far, no money yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in this great country we live in, as the largest cities in America,
Yeah.
they all seem to have the same problem:
Yeah.
poverty,
Yep.
the poorest of the people,
Mm-hmm.
those people being abused,
Yeah.
oppressed
Yeah.
by people look like them, people they know.
Yeah.
And some people have contributed that to us as a group, telling our children, I want you to grow up, I want you to go to college, I want you to get a good education, I want you to get a good job,
Yeah.
I want you to buy yourself a house,
Yeah.
and I want you to start a family and do great. No one ever said, come back home,
Yeah.
reach back, help somebody, pull somebody else up. So the way I see it through my lens is our best and our brightest are gone.
Yeah. They leave.
And they used to come back
Mm.
when they needed to come to church,
Right.
when they needed to go to the grocery store, when they needed a haircut or a beautician.
Right.
Now, all of those things are all over the valley in all of the cities in the world. So if grandma ain't there no more, or ma ain't there no more,
Yeah.
there's no need to go back to the old neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And so we see the poorest of the poor feeding on each other.
Mhm.
So the only way I think we correct that issue is the best and the brightest got to come back home.
I agree.
But they got to have something to come home to. Part and partial of the reason they left is there was no housing.
Yeah.
First house I bought in 1984 was a house that was 20 plus years old
Mm.
in a neighborhood that originally said black people couldn't live there on the deed. Second house I bought says the same thing. Black people can't live in that neighborhood.
Mm.
So I'm curious to hear how you want to improve the living conditions of the community. What kind of thoughts? What do you need? What kind of support, resources, and basically give me an overview of your game plan.
Yeah. So I think the main driver of development and wealth in the community is making sure that there's ownership.
That's right.
So the idea is to make sure that there are opportunities for people to come in and buy homes there. We don't want just renters, although we want to have a space for people to rent. But it's really important for people to be able to own and build equity within their company and their country and their home, and then be able to pay the taxes, and that helps build the wealth of the community. Also, there needs to be like fun entertainment attractions, so like Jackson Avenue, at one point was the hub for black entertainment and black social, I guess, especially during the times when Las Vegas was segregated. So it would be nice to revitalize that region. Bring the restaurants back, bring the bars back, bring the music venues and all the opportunities for people to spend money and enjoy themselves in the community. Because right now it's a lot of vacant land in churches.
So let's talk about some vacant land and some opportunities we may see.
Yeah.
So I know you and we had a meeting a few weeks ago. So talk to me a little bit about what you've come back with, and then we'll talk in detail about what kind of product we think we might can fit there.
Cool. So I'm looking at the core of the historic West Side right now. So for those of you that can't see, that's Owens to the north, that's Washington to the south, that's H to the west, and then you got B to the east.
Or the freeway.
And the freeway.
Yeah.
I would say the freeway.
Mm-hmm.
So in this region, I'll say in the H and Owens area, that's kind of the region that I'm calling the region closest to Jackson. So these are the properties that are 2-3 blocks away from Jackson Avenue, which, as we said before, was kind of the social and entertainment hub. And then you go towards D and between B, all the way down to Jefferson or even down to Washington, and those are properties that are lining the park. And I know that the city has a couple plans for what that park might be, but as it is right now, that's very residential and not as focused on the entertainment and retail commercial components of the neighborhood. And then you whip around, I'll say, towards the Washington, south, and then now you're surrounded by the historic West Side School, and then I know that there's going to be a development, a multifamily going up right here on Jefferson and D. So I know that
Is that the city's old land?
Yeah, well, that was
Okay.
New Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who built a new church over on Martin Luther King?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And then I know that's been passed over to another developer to build I think like 100-something units.
Yep.
And then I know that the city has some access to some of the retail space, but the most like movement in the region is kind of happening right there right now. So a lot of the properties around there, we're going to be connected to the West Side School or the retail that might be surrounding that.
And what have we found that those vacant lots are selling for on average?
Yeah, they're going for like $6 to $11 a square foot.
And those lots are averaging 50 by 100?
Yeah.
75 by 100?
Exactly, yeah. They're like between 5,000 and 7,500 square feet per lot.
So
which
in
is
gross
big.
dollars, how much is that? Yeah.
Yeah, that's $50,000 to $70,000 roughly.
A lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we got some benefit because we got water already to the lot.
Yeah,
We got power already to the lot.
exactly.
You typically got a square that's already built, fenced.
Yeah.
You may have to bring some dirt or take some dirt out. But for the most
It's
part,
right.
there's not, hopefully you got a sidewalk, and
Yeah.
some of them, or most of them.
Yeah. And you got these alleys. You got alleys.
Oh, you got the
Yeah.
alley.
They're-
So
and
we could vacate the alleys, that could give you some more
parking on the
footage.
back,
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's really special over there because there aren't many places in Las Vegas that have alleys. In cities like Chicago and again Los Angeles, really utilize their alleys in a good way. So I do like that about the region. And then you go towards the west, and then this is where a lot of the established homes are and stuff like that. But there's a lot of lots sitting there that could also be utilized.
Are all the purple lots vacant lots?
Yes,
Okay.
all of these that we're looking at are vacant.
Wow.
Vacant, yeah. So that's
And how many of them do our illustrious city own?
I think 43 as of today.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. And there's some movement on the private market where people are selling their properties, but a lot of these are just sitting vacant. And there's been maybe a little bit more or I'll say parcels purchased
Mhm.
over the last couple of years, but a lot of them have just been owned by the same families for several years.
And the ones that are for sale, what's the average selling price?
I mean, some are going for like $25,000, so they're getting really low on that $5 square foot. And then I saw one go for like 120 something.
120,000?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was close to Jackson, but
Wow.
it just shows you the range.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so, multifamily, single family,
Mm.
what are you thinking and what area? Oh, there's another area up here we
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
talk about, right? So let's talk
Oh.
about them, then we'll get into some detail about
Well,
the
this one
opportunity.
right here.
Yeah.
So this is the one that I'm thinking is kind of that north of
It's better.
Jackson.
Mhm.
Yeah, because that's, I mean, you've got Owens right here, which is a
Right.
kind of a major thoroughway. And then Jackson, there's a lot of retail and commercial development planned for the region. So
Yeah.
those who want kind of that city walkable life would live in this region.
So I see you got green,
Yeah.
blue, and yellow, all the same, all vacant?
Yeah,
Any different indications of what?
yeah, the
Okay,
zoning.
lot size, the zoning, okay.
The zoning, yeah.
Now, the city was supposedly had passed a zoning some months ago
Mm.
that around Jackson in that area that allowed for you as the developer to
Yes.
bring the opportunity, whatever
Yes.
you thought you wanted
Yeah.
to build.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
they did ultimately to pass that
Yeah,
City
form-based,
council?
yeah,
Okay.
form-based code.
form-based code.
Yeah, so form-based code is something that I think was piloted with the medical district,
Okay.
which is just right off of the freeway, but it's meant for what the city's calling the downtown corridor, to basically create more density or basically give the developer more
Mhm.
autonomy in creating what they want in the region.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of flexibility, and that's kind of where I'm seeing here is that there's a lot of parcels that were once just single-family homes, but now could house, buildings that are 5 to 7 stories and, 20, 30, 40 units,
Mhm.
And of course, that kind of impacts the quality of life for some of the people who still live there. But it just gives you the freedom to really create something that might make sense instead of just having to stick with the old code.
Okay.
Yeah,
So assuming we can see opportunity,
absolutely.
from what sticks out first? What do you say, this is right, it's ready,
Yeah,
it needs a developer?
yeah.
So as a developer, from developer to developer,
Mhm.
what type of structure, housing, development, what and why
Okay.
are you thinking? And what area first?
Yeah, so I think for me the one of the coolest opportunities is for homeowners to be able to increase the revenue or increase the value of their properties. So I'm seeing a lot of these properties off of 8th Street and Washington that are towards what I'm calling the back side of the west side, where there are currently a lot of single-family homes but sitting on really large lots. So what you can do is maintain that single-family home or build one if it's a vacant home, and then add a couple units like ADUs or maybe even a small multifamily. So the person who owns that property not only owns that home but also is generating revenue for themselves out of these smaller units.
And this area around H,
Yeah.
those are vacant?
Yes, all of the ones that we see here, yeah.
Okay,
Vacant.
so how many? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lots?
Yeah, yeah,
And if we come down here, 10, 11,
yeah. And
like
all of
almost
them
right
are-
next to each other.
Yeah, they're all zoned. Those are all R3. So you can do,
So we can have multifamily.
yes, all around there.
Mhm.
Yeah. And they're big lots,
Big lots.
Yeah.
What's the price range? We got the prices, don't we?
Yeah, well, we can see what the sales have been. Oh, that's assessed value. Where we at? Last
sale.
Yeah. And then we can arrange it by like the year it was sold. But so right here, this one was sold. This T3N on Madison, $42,000, and it was how many square feet on that one? I think it'd be the other way. Total accessible lot. Oh, it didn't tell me the. Oh, well, it was
Lot size.
all right, well, let's choose another one. 709 Monroe. It's it's about 7,000 square feet, and that one was sold for 64,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what is that per square feet? Let's say 64 divided by 7,000.
So almost
It's like
$100,
$9 a square foot.
$109 a square foot?
No, just $9 a square foot.
$9 a square foot?
Yeah, for the
Do the
lot.
math on your phone. That seems too cheap to me.
But we got 64,000, right?
Divided by 6,900.
Yeah, 64,000.
Let me borrow $9, Cap. That's too cheap. I mean, ooh. I
Yeah,
can't believe it. I'm broke.
$9.18.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot of, a lot of good deals, I guess, on the if you're buying them, and then there's a way to squeeze out a lot of money from those parcels because of the way that form-based code is going.
Yeah.
In the city, I've been engaging with them, and they've been really motivated to get things done over there. So they've created different programs and ways to kind of expedite the process.
So what I would like to do is maybe call this our developers show
Cool.
and have folks listen in, and we start
Yeah.
from here,
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna walk through and see what we can tie up,
Yeah.
and talk about the process and take them
Yeah.
from the conception, which is what really we talking about today, through the process of what it takes,
Cool.
and hopefully educate some of our people and
Get some more development.
yeah, make a way for some opportunities for folks and make some money at the same time.
Exactly. I love it.
Okay. All right, so what is it? So tell us, so we are in this is our first podcast on developing residential, mixed use, mixed
Yeah.
income
Yeah.
in West Las Vegas.
Yes, sir.
And our goal is to have folks either follow along for the ride,
Mm-hmm.
get involved,
Yeah.
buy a property
Yeah.
after we finish it, before we finish it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to learn, you want to be a part, we want you to be a part, right?
And we want feedback too.
Yeah.
'Cause, we got to build it with the community.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. All right. Next steps. So we're going to have our next show, we're going to talk about, let's focus in this area
Let me screenshot
on these
it.
lots.
Oh, the blue ones? Or
Yeah.
Which ones? Yeah.
Because it looks like we got some synergy, even
that
though
right
that's, yeah, go, yep,
Like here, like
Yeah.
all the blue?
yeah, come on down, yep,
Yep.
go back up, I think so.
Yeah.
I think that gives us,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah.
okay. Do you see anything else that has that much density?
This is gonna be density as well.
Okay.
And then these over here are really good. And I like the proximity to Jackson.
SD?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and then that's also because that new development is going
Yeah,
right
that they
there.
talking about?
Yeah, so all of this is written, and then this is Jackson, so they're going to be doing a lot up and down here,
Okay.
right? So, this. to
So
me
we're
is
gonna
also-
focus for our next meeting on two areas
Yeah.
that we'll come back and talk about. The H Street area
Mhm.
and then the D Street area.
Mhm.
And then we'll talk about why we like whichever one we pick.
Yeah.
And then hopefully we'll have a little bit more information about
Yeah.
what our cost is,
Yeah.
right? How many we can tie up,
Yep.
and if we can't tie them up, why we can't tie them up,
Yeah.
right? So to give the listening audience an idea of a life of a developer.
Yeah. That erase. Let's say next steps. Cool.
Well, we want to thank the audience for participating
Yeah.
and tuning in through our lens. And Frank and Kyle, we're going to sign off right now, and we'll see you at the next one.